Very good afternoon to all of you. I, Dr. Manoj Kulshrestha, on my personal behalf and on the behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, I welcome you all. The topic for today's presentation is Nuances of Organizational Development in Construction Industry. Friends, as the relevance of this topic goes, in the BTech programs, the BTech Civil Engineering in Construction Management and BTech Civil Water Resources Engineering, we have similar topics in our courseware. And in fact, it is a very important topic if we see of construction industry and its organizational development. If you recall in your course material ET 525, which is a Construction Management 2 course, in which there are 7 blocks, the first block is on construction organization. In that first block, construction organization, there are 3 units. The first unit deals with the construction industry, its overview, statistics and other things. The second unit is on development and organization of construction projects. Here this topic is relevant to that particular unit, unit 2 of Construction Management 2. The third unit in the same course deals with the different kinds of organizations which can be there in any organization and with a special reference to construction industry. Students, in the same way, a course ET 524A oblique ET 534A named Principles of Engineering Management Economics, you might have seen there are 4 blocks. The first block deals with the basic concepts. The second block is again on organizations. The third is on managerial control strategies, and the fourth block basically discusses the project management techniques. So these 2 particular courses, one is Construction Management 2, which is exclusively having the construction tinge. It has the 7 blocks right from accounting, finance, HRD, equipment management, contract management, materials management. The first block is on construction organization. The same way, the engineering projects are dealt there in the second course, Principles of Engineering Management Economics, where the construction as such has not been taken as the case, but it's the engineering projects we have taken the case, and in that particular course there is a block on organization. So this topic, the organizational development in construction, basically at this moment relevant in light of these 2 syllabus, these 2 blocks and units which are there in both the courses, Construction Management 2 and Principles of Engineering Management and Economics. Students, for today's topic, we are fortunate to have here Colonel N.B. Saxena, who is a retired colonel from Indian Army. He had been the director training in ENC branch, Army headquarters here in Delhi, and before that he has a rich experience of executing different construction projects at the different areas in the country, even in the places where it is very difficult to execute any project. So he has a vast experience of that kind of construction. Presently he is holding the charge of director in Indian Society for Training and Development. So we are fortunate to have Colonel Saxena with us, and he will be enlightening us for the different facets of organizational development in construction industry. Colonel Saxena.
Thank you, Dr. Kulshrestha. Good morning, viewers. Now, before we start with the topic, it is very essential to know basically the 2 aspects, because first of all, construction industry is a unorganized generally, as it is known, but still it has an organization. And what we see here, that unorganized organization and a systematic work without a systematic systems. Though of late we have noticed that the things are improving and in a systematic way. Well, saying this, it doesn't mean that construction industry is totally disorganized. So before I proceed to the industry or the construction industry as such, I would like to first highlight the basic issue. What is an organization? How do we define it? See, there are many facets of organization. The first is like organization is a tool used by the people to coordinate their actions to obtain something they desire or value. Means the important things to note here are to coordinate their actions to obtain something they desire or value, what you want to achieve. So accordingly your actions are coordinated towards that goal. The second definition, what we call it, an organization is a response to and means of satisfying human needs. Means it is a means or a process through which you want to achieve the needs, or you want to satisfy the needs what you want to achieve. Then thirdly, grouping people and resources is the essence of organization. Means you again group the people together and then it forms an organization. And lastly, when we say organization is intangible, why this is a very debatable question here now. When we say intangible, that is in the two sense. First is it is not measurable. Because why it is not measurable? Especially in the construction industry, what happens, because the organization varies from time to time and project to project. That's why you cannot put a standard and measure it. Similarly, it is of a semi-permanent nature, we can also say that way. But when we say measurable and we relate it to the permanency or the temporary nature of the organization, that's why we can call it intangible. Finally, if we see the final definition, the process by which people recognize opportunities to satisfy needs and then gather and use resources to meet those needs is termed as entrepreneurship leading to create an organization. Which means that when you want to become an entrepreneur in any sense, so therefore you have to gather and use these resources, club them together into the needs and the design frame, and then this organization is formed. Now when we say this organization, so finally after defining this organization, we can very in a nutshell say that organization is a means to achieve your aim or goal. Now how to design it, and it will depend, and how to use it will depend on the requirements and the project needs. Like for example, if you are having a flyover project, then definitely the organization will be different for that. If you are having a real estate project, then the organization will be different for that. Therefore, it is a response to the need also, and accordingly you have to group the resources. Now defining this organizational part, now I come to the second part, development. Now development is a very relative term. The first thing when we say that organizational development as such is a planned and positive change for betterment, because any development is a positive change. You cannot give it a negative, though change can be negative and a positive, but development is related to the positive change. Therefore, when the organization is related to the positive change, then we say it is a development part. So in this we can define overall the organizational development in terms of organizational development is a systematic process for applying behavioral principles and practices in organization to increase individual and organizational effectiveness. The important part here are the systematic process, individual and organizations. So we use this organizational development to in a systematic process to utilize for the development of an individual and organization as a whole. Now there are basic few elements, or rather we focus on something in for the development, organizational development. The first thing is in OD, in short form what we call it OD, the organizational development. The first point is the focus. Now what is the focus? Organization and its elements. Means the structure of the organization and of what the elements this organization is formed. That is the focus point, and elements maybe which I will come later are the individuals, groups, teams, structure, etc. Now the second thing, what are the aims? The total system change. When we say development, as I said earlier that a positive change is a development. So aim of this organizational development is a total system change. The third aspect comes to the orientation. Action achieving results. When we say orientation, means your actions to be directed to achieve those results of change which you have desired for. Then comes the theme. The theme of the organizational development is a planned change to desired results. As I had earlier said, in this case, what happens when you say planned change for the desired results? So you know the ultimate objectives. For example, if you want to construct a flyover, you know the flyover has to be constructed, and that is your desired results. So accordingly, you have to administer the planned change in the organization to achieve that desired results. So that is the complete theme of the your organizational development. Now comes the setting. In case of setting, the real organization in practical word. You see what happens when we say real organization in practical word. The climate, environment and geographical location will matter a lot from place to place. Suppose as the same construction of a flyover you are doing in India, or you are doing in America or in Mongolia, even in India for that matter, if you are constructing in Rajasthan or northeastern part or then J&K part. So the total environment will change the settings. So therefore these elements, focus, aim, orientation, theme and settings, play a major role in the organizational development. Now,
Colonel Saxena, like these elements which you have discussed, the focus, aim, orientation, theme and setting, basically these are the key elements for any positive change which we call as the development, the organizational development.
Very rightly as you have said, and these 5 elements or the 5 features, they are the drivers of the organizational development, and one has to define them before they go into for a organizational development in a organization.
Well taken. And before that also you said that organization will change as per the need. Like if it's a flyover project, construction project, or it's a real estate project, or for that matter bridge project or any other far-flung areas project, the organizational elements, these elements will remain same. The only thing is that organization as per the need will change.
This is a good question. In fact, I will come in detail in the later stage, but however, the question here is because the elements are generally the constant.
Correct.
But their structure changes and their behavior pattern changes. So in organization, when we change the structure, accordingly the behavior changes. But elements by and large, there are basic elements which I said I'll come later. I'll define them.
And lastly, for the benefit of my students, when we say organization, organization is one is a corporate office having its office in some city, in a metro city, and the site is at some area. Suppose it may be in the, you can say in far-flung area, there is the site. Now the organization, particularly organization, is that corporate organization or the organization at site?
Well, this is again I think need to be clarified. See, one organization is the corporate organization which works as a nodal agency.
Correct.
But here what we are discussing is the organization in construction industry, basically the site organization, the infrastructure required for a particular project.
Correct.
So that is what we are dealing here.
So here it is the site organization where the people are working at a particular site, and their organization and its development.
But
well taken.
At the same time, I will also want to give a caution of word here that the corporate organization, which is a semi-permanent nature, also changes with the diversification of the company.
Correct.
Like if it is a highway company and suppose it switches on to the real estate, then the organization at the corporate office will accordingly change.
Now mostly construction companies, they are going from one areas to other areas. The bridge corporation is going for the building construction, and some other companies are also coming in different areas.
So that is where I had said it is intangible, non-measurable organization. Well, after this now I will come, because there are some important elements, features of construction organization. Because before we deal with the organization, dear viewers, it is very necessary to know these complex features. The first thing is the complexity. Now, when we say complexity, due to variety of projects, agencies, processes and requirement, as we have just now discussed this issue, because in construction, any type of construction can come, and accordingly the complexity will develop. That it can vary from a underground project to a skyscraper. So accordingly the complexities will develop. The second thing is the uniqueness. In any construction project, every project has got its unique considerations: geographical locations, then environmental locations, maybe of design, and for that matter, most of the elements in this scenario, it has got a uniqueness, it is different than the other. The third part is the mobility of organization. Means each project has different site and environment, and it may be a shifting, like in case of highways. The organization needs to be shifting from hundreds of kilometers. So mobility of organization is also seen, which can be shifted and still be communicative and intact. The next point is multiplicity. Now, multiplicity, involvement of different departments, authorities, agency. A construction organization has to deal with the local panchayats, with the forest officials, irrigation officials, central government, environment clearance. So, it is not that only civil engineer or one expert is required. You require expert of different nature. So, it is basically the multiplicity of the nature, not alone the construction. The next comes the seasonality of human resource. This is the most important part of this whole scenario. You see what happens, because a project has a very limited life. When I say limited life, it can vary from 1 year to even 6 years. Those days have gone when the projects used to run for 20 or 25 years. Now, generally the projects are completed within a span of 5 years. And I think Dr. Kulshesh will agree with that. Human resource, when we say, it is a shifting human resource, and seasonality means the human resource keep on changing.
Correct.
Now,
actually, in this kind of section, I just want to my students to recall the unit 1 on construction management 2 course, the first unit in the first block. There it is given as the features of construction industry, and you have rightly pointed out here all the features, the complexity, uniqueness, mobility. Like that one-off character here, one-off character, I will request you to bit elaborative on that. Otherwise, in one-off character, what I understand is basically one decision is taken in a construction industry, then the decision maker is not in position to see that what would have happened if he would have taken the different decision. So this is the one-off character of construction industry, where you are not in position to see exactly whether what would have happened if you would have taken different decision, because the decision is taken in construction and it is basically implemented there only, and you are not in position to see the effect of other decisions which you would have taken. So this is the one of characteristic of construction industry, and you have rightly said that seasonality is the most important point in construction, because we deal with the migratory labor there, and these people normally in the normal course of time they are busy with their agricultural work, and when their agriculture work is off, then time they move for the construction. And in India, the most of the construction work is taken is done by these labor only. Another point here came that mobility of organization. Yes, in a industrial project and a construction project, basically in construction, if you appreciate, the product is basically stationary and facilities are moved, whereas in industrial project the facilities are fixed and products are moved. This example is given in our blocks, so I wanted to reinforce the same thing since you are taking here. Thank you. We can go ahead.
It has been very explicitly explained by Dr. Kulshesh, as these features, they affect the organization. Now, the next thing what we want to come in, once we have understood what is organizational development, we have understood what are the key features of the construction organization. Now, we want to know who are the stakeholders, because viewers, one important thing is the organization will also change as per the stakeholders. And in construction organization, it is unlike the manufacturing industry. Stakeholders are different. Now, the first thing is the client or the owner. When we say the client or the owner, it can be in the form of organization or individual. Like for example, suppose your client is National Highway Authority, or your client may be CPWD, or your client may be any other department, or in certain cases the client may be an individual also, or an individual private owner. So the client and owner is the first part who is interested in the project, whether it is from the public point of view or whether it is from the individual point of view. The second then important thing is, because any client is connected to the user. Now in few cases what happens, the user, at times the client is the user, but in the public domain the client and user are different. Like for example, a bridge is being constructed, the user is a normal public, but the client is CPWD or any other department, or for example in the roads highway authority, they are the client for the giving their work. So therefore a synergy, what user wants, what is the requirement of the user, and what the client's interest is. So it has to be synergized. The third part is the consultant or the engineering group. Now this is basically the organization which gives the input of defining the user's requirement and owner's requirement and the client's requirement, and then they produce the design. This is what on the ground is required to be done. It becomes an interface between the agencies. The fourth important thing is the regulatory authority. When we say regulatory authorities, in this case the authority is the rules, like mean the labor laws comes in force, environmental laws come in force, because that will also affect the design. So when we see these four elements, the client, the user, the consultant or the engineering group, and the regulatory authority, now this will all affect the construction group. That is the contractor or the construction who is finally constructing the